Just to let you know again that we are recording this session. So just to make all of you aware, uh, the recording will be shared because I got some email from some students saying that today and tomorrow they are taking exam, so they cannot join, but they will be looking at the recording. So we record this. I hope you continue to monitor our websites as well as our emails. If you would like to refresh of what happens last week, the recording is in YouTube as well as in the Tsunami United website. So I think we can start. Hopefully, some of us will be, some of other students will be joining. I see from UAE, Gursi, from Madagascar, Aldi, and of course from Indonesia, Salva, and yeah, many more. So before we start, I hope you did enjoy our session last week. We have been working also very hard with Emiliano, with Nancy, with Rodrigo, with Rohmi to prepare another exciting and interesting session for today. And we really hope that you will continue to engage actively in all of the discussion, the conversation, the pooling, the playing around the whiteboard, and it will be another interesting session. So I think we have a lot to share with you, to discuss with you. And so without any further ado, I would like to invite my dearest friend, Emiliano, to take us through another journey today in the Tsunami United. Emiliano, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Adito, and hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. It's so great to see you again. We had so much fun and we learned a lot in the first session. So we have more stories and more, learnings to share with you. And we would like to hear from you as well. For session 2, we prepare different materials. The first one is to comment on your feedback about last session. Thank you for sending your answers and your messages. And we will also be doing a quick overview of what we learned from the last tsunami in 2004 and all the progress that's been done, all the work that the organizations and governments and scientists have been doing to address and to reduce tsunami risk. And we will be talking about the future, we'll be talking about communications, and we will be talking about your project, your story. This is an opportunity for you to create something new. So we brought this picture of the rear view window, the mirror in the car, because we thought this is a nice metaphor of what we are doing now. We're looking at the future, but we are also looking at the past at the same time. We're talking about the future of the ocean, and we're talking about the past, an event that happened 20 years ago. So I thought this was a nice metaphor for the storytelling and for the timings that we are discussing. And first, I would like to ask you if you had the chance to watch The Girl at the Tsunami. So we have a very short poll question on screen that you will see at any moment, and we would like to know if you had the chance to watch it. If you didn't have time, don't worry. like I see like a third of you, 30% watched it. I hope that you liked it. You can use the chat window for those of you who could watch it. It's very short. It's only 5 minutes. So next time you can also watch it. There is time. If you can use the chat window and tell us your emotions or your feelings, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. I'd love to hear from you as well. Let me see if I can open the chat. Yes, here we go. So I would love to hear from you. You can paste and chat, say anything in the chat. Of course, you can also open your mic. We already know each other. So, so did you like it? The ones that watched it? This is we thought this is a nice story because it's a student. Thank you, Elisa. It had an amazing style of animation, which showcased the story beautifully. Thank you. There was lots of people working on it, artists and animators, and even Martina, the girl who lived through that, who experienced that. Thank you so much, Elisa, for your comment. What did you have any other inspirations and feelings? We thought we could play in the whiteboard, and we can try because we already, yeah, it would be great to share if any of you have other reactions and other emotions. We can talk about it. Shall we open it? Thank you, Elisa, for your comments. If any of you watched it, we would love to hear your opinion. And if not, the link is there and you can watch it next time. And as always, this is to all of you.
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, great. Go for it. Go for it. Yes. Okay, next time you can watch it for the next session and you let us know what you think about it. And for us, yes, we thought it was a short one, which is interesting to see what happens when there are no systems on place. But after that event, so many new warning systems were created. So this is not the reality anymore, but it's an interesting story of a young student like you taking the lead to protect the community. So we'll just continue with the following because you also shared very interesting films. Thank you so much for sharing them. Let me just go for it. We received Delisa, this one, Afalan Shalat Delisa. Thank you so much for sharing another film. We didn't know it. It was the story of Elisa who lives in Aceh. These stories are good to learn. Many of them, some of them are scientifically more accurate than others, but it's great to know that there are so many stories. This is another one, an HBO series called The Aftermath. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's also another way of learning and to have a feeling of what people experienced, right? And thank you so much for sending us your feedback in the survey. This is a comment from Myanmar telling us that the local fishing industry had been affected by the tsunami. Feedback from Maldives, which had shared the story that the tsunami had a huge impact on every island. Another one from Maldives, and knowing that at that time they were not prepared for the tsunami, but there are so many learnings from that, and that it had affected the infrastructure and the economy, which is based on tourism. Thank you, Madagascar, for sending your comments. These are just screenshots of the comments that you shared by email. And you told us about the inundation in the harbor. Thank you, Indonesia. This is a very emotional story of one of you that told us the story from your mom and how you had lost a grandparent. So thank you for sharing that. We know that it was like the impact was really, really huge in some places. So thank you for sharing this. Thank you, Bangladesh, for sending you your stories and your comments. We also had stories from grandparents that were witnessed to the event. And now there's been a new early warning system in Bangladesh, new shelters, new different initiatives to reduce disaster risk. So thank you for that. We read every comment that you send, so keep sending them. We learn a lot from you as well. So thank you again. Last time we discussed what causes the tsunami. And this is the main cause, right? This is earthquake. So we brought this animation. This is just a few seconds because I wanted to share like, this is how the two tectonic plates at the bottom of the ocean accumulate energy, then are deformed, and at some point release the energy. You will see, hey, there. So after it's accumulated, it is released, and that energy creates from the bottom of the ocean a tsunami. So we thought we would share that with you. These materials that I'm showing, we will send them all to you by email. And so this includes some other animations that you will see. But there are other reasons that could cause a tsunami. So we thought we would like to play a bit with that. So you will see on the screen that there's a short question so that we can think, what are the other possible causes of a tsunami? We're about to see a poll now. So the tectonic and earthquakes at the bottom of the ocean or in the coast are one of them. We're going to see another. For some reason, I'm not seeing it. And if not, we continue. There we go. So you have to scroll, right? So first one, volcanic eruption. Yes or no? Can it cause a tsunami? Yes or no? And you can just, how do you answer? Okay, there you go. Yes. And then landslide. Yes or no? Can it cause a tsunami? So this is a way of learning through a simple game. I can see the answers now. Great. I can see that the answers are still coming. This is good fun. So lots of answers for volcanic eruption. Landslides, I see it's half and half. Underwater landslide, another one. Meteorite. Okay, great. So let's see the right answers. Thank you so much for sending your answers. I see some of them still coming. Okay, there we go. Wonderful. So, volcanic eruption, yes or no? Yes, the answer is correct. And there's been lots of work in the last years about integration of early warning systems for tsunamis and volcanoes. Historically, the systems were connected to earthquake detection. So that was the main scenario. But some big volcanic eruptions can cause some tsunamis. So this is correct. Landslide. Most of you answered no. And the answer is yes. In some cases, a big landslide can cause a tsunami. So this is correct. Yes is the correct answer. But it's infrequent. It's infrequent. But we thought we would play with this, but because these are also possible sources. Underwater landslide. Yes, correct. Okay, agree. Yes, you all got it right. Underwater landslide, it's a possibility like we've seen. Meteorite, this is very infrequent, right? But the answer is correct. Yes. And 70 million years ago, this is a long time ago, there was a huge meteorite in the area of Mexico in Central America. And that created a huge tsunami. And so there are many models and animations to show that. You know, it's very infrequent, right? But it's correct. The answer is also correct. And then the last one, thunderstorm on the ocean. Most of you answered no, and most of you got it correct. Thunderstorm on the ocean, it's not a possibility for a tsunami. So storms are not enough to create a tsunami, but the rest, all of them are correct. So thank you again for your answers. Let me just close the door and I'll keep on sharing. Do you still see my screen? Can you see it again? I have a question from Aima in Pakistan. You can just unmute and ask the question.
So I have a question. Hello.
Can you repeat?
So why does thunderstorm are not the reason for tsunami?
Why the storms are not a reason for tsunami?
Yes.
Because it does what creates a tsunami, it's a huge amount of energy that pushes the water. In the case of the earthquakes, is the tectonic, like let's see this image, for example. I think this image that we brought is good. So let's see. If you see the earthquake, they release so much energy that it moved the body of water. The same thing for the underwater slides. So there's lots of energy to move so much water. The volcanic activity as well. In the volcanic activity is the energy of the volcano releases energy onto the air, and then the air makes the water move. It's surprising. This is a phenomenon that is studied a lot now. Meteorite, again, they have lots of energy and they move the water. And the storms do not have that energy to move the water. That's the main reason. They don't have that energy and that power to move it. If you have any other questions, you can just feel free to either raise your hand or open your microphone. This is open for us to have the conversation and discuss together. So we already been through what happened in the 2004, and we brought this animation, and this is 2004. Have a look at this, how it all starts. This is near Indonesia, and we are seeing the whole Indian Ocean. And this is after the earthquake. This is how the energy of the water is released over the Pacific Oceans hour by hour. You see, it's been 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Now it's going to reach the Maldives and then Madagascar and then the eastern coast of Africa, 9 hours, 10 hours. So we thought this was a great animation, and it's in the materials that you will be able to see. There's a question from Menzi. Menzi? Go ahead. I think you're muted, but feel free to ask.
Good day to you, Mr. Emiliano.
Good day.
I'd like to ask, how does a landslide cause a tsunami?
It's the very same principle. There has to be lots of a big volume of earth that falls down from the coast. And when it reaches the ocean, it just literally moves a big, huge body of water, and it can create a tsunami. It has to be very big. Otherwise, it's just a wave, right? But this is another source. It's less frequent, or at least it's less frequent that this causes a big tsunami. But big landslides also create waves and can potentially create tsunamis. Some local tsunamis. Sometimes it's not only the regional tsunami that goes across the ocean. It can create a local wave that affects the ships, for example, or the fishermen, or people that are in the water. So this is another source.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions, and feel free to ask anything. And if for some reason you don't understand something that I say, you can put text in the chat window or open the mic and ask me to repeat anything, and we can go through this. We know that for some of you,
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, go for it.
I even heard about a storm surge, I think. It happens in Iran. Do you have any
A storm
information
surge.
about it? Yeah.
The storms also move huge amounts of water. We work a lot in the Caribbean, and that makes the water levels rise. It's not necessarily called the tsunami, but the storm surge can move big bodies of water. It's true. It's not necessarily triggering a tsunami, but it can flood the coast. Yes, definitely. The storm surges can flood the coast, and it's a related phenomenon. But thank you for asking. Yes, and we've seen that in other countries.
Yeah,
Madagascar.
I researched about it, and I heard that some people call it tsunami too. And I didn't know the difference between them.
I guess that the difference is mainly the size, right? It's the size. But one way or another, we are talking about coastal risk. So both deserve attention. The fact, even if it's not called a tsunami, an inundation can cause damage. So it's important to pay attention and to learn about it. Even if it's not that big, it can cause damage, of course.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Madagascar, I don't see your name, but I can see your raised hand. Go for it.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for giving me the floor. I have a question about, is it possible for any kind of deflagration or an energy release to cause a tsunami?
Can you repeat for some reason the audio? Maybe you can talk near the microphone. Can you repeat? And now for some reason I cannot hear. Okay. I think you're muted. Can you try again?
I was asking whether if any kind of energy deflagration or release can cause a tsunami, whether it is in the sea or in the earth.
It's most of the times in the sea itself. The eruption is an exception, and this is a phenomena that is studied like a lot by scientists today. When the eruption is really, really, really big, it releases so much energy into the air, the explosion, that the air itself can generate waves. The energy is such that the air is moved, it exercises pressure on the ocean. But that is an exception compared to the other ones, which is literally Earth moving in the water and moving the water itself, right? So that is very exceptional. It has to be a very big eruption. There was one in the Pacific in 2021 in the Tonga volcano, and now the early warning systems are being integrated for volcano eruptions and tsunamis. Good Simran from UAE. You have to unmute.
I wanted to ask, can a cyclone awaken a tsunami?
Not necessarily. It's not one of the. It's similar to the last example we had on the trivia. Not necessarily.
Okay, thank you.
It's not one of the main causes, no. Nurmala, did you raise the hand again? Lots of questions today.
Okay, I have a question. How can a landslide cause a tsunami, and has there even been a tsunami due to a landslide? If it happens, where does it happen? Because what I know is that landslide that can cause tsunamis are underwater landslide. Thank you.
Yes. For example, we've been working in an island in Italy where we've seen that a huge landslide had caused a local tsunami. It's a local wave. It's not maybe as big as to go through the whole ocean, but it can create a local wave, a local tsunami, and that can cause damage. So this is when a landslide from the earth, from the coast, falls into the ocean. And then you asked about the underwater landslide. It's like same principle. If lots of earth and energy is released and falls down, it just moves the water. And even if at the bottom of the sea, the movement, because it's very heavy, the water moves a bit, at the surface, it moves so much more. So that's why it can have more impact on culture, on the communities, on people living on the ocean and on the coast. Thank you for all those questions. We'll send more materials to read about it. It's always important to learn the causes because science brings us so many materials to understand the mechanism. I know some of you want to be scientists, and even if you are not scientists in the future, this is like really important information to understand the causes of this phenomenon. So it's also a way of paying attention to different events. So thank you so much for the questions, and we can keep exploring these questions that we thought they were important. And last time we also discussed memory, and you brought beautiful definitions of what you think memory is. So thank you so much for that. So we received, these are some comments that we had from the chat from Malaysia. Memory is like the perseverance of a certain experience. Great definition. Memory is the archive or personal history and connecting past, present, and future through experience. From Iran, thank you so much, Sagar, for sending. This was a message in the chat window. From Indonesia, Rafi said the meaning of memory is the power of processing or reproducing or recalling what we learned. Thank you so much. Juliana from Madagascar. Memory means a lot to me. It's something that we must not forget and cherish. Instead, it can bring joy, it can bring sorrow, it can help us to go and avoid doing the same mistakes. It teaches us to move, to grow, to help the future generation. Thank you so much, Juliana, for sharing this. From Indonesia, we had a message from Farid Altaf. Memory for me is very important for the future, what happened before, finding solutions, learning from past mistakes for a better future. This is just so great. Ian and Emmanuel from Kenya, memory is remembering things that can help us improve our world. So this is like so wonderful, and we'd like to discuss today with you now, what do you think that we can do to reduce the tsunami risk? And we know that tsunamis will happen because natural events happen, but the impact that they can have on our communities, on our life in the coast can be reduced. In which ways? So let's discuss that. We'd like to share the whiteboard with you so that we can play around with possible reasons or ways that we'd like to hear from you. What do you think we can do? And now I read a few of your comments. Sorry about the girl and the tsunami. Smangar, you watched the film, were many moves. Thank you, Nurmala. You watched Belisa. I couldn't read the text messages because I was sharing the screen. Thank you, Iran, Ghazal. It was a bit scary. Yes, overwhelming. Yes. Thank you for all that you've been commenting on the films. And yes, okay, wonderful. So many comments. Sorry, I was not reading some of this. And keep, yes, thank you, Adito, for your comment. So let's play around on the map. What are the things that we can do to reduce the impact? For example, I'm pasting here alerts, warnings. You feel free to write anything. Mangrove planting, I love that one. Natural barriers, right? Yes, that's a really good one. And then spread awareness and learn and educate. That's wonderful. Building tsunami, I'm reading as you write. Early warning systems, yes. That's so important. Disaster risk management, yes. Warning systems, alerts. This is good fun. I love this whiteboard because we can all write together and start planting mangroves or protecting the mangroves. So important also to protect them. So mangrove forests, and they have so much life and water and animals and fish and birds. I learned from mangroves a lot in the Galapagos, in my visit to the Galapagos. The mangroves, it's incredible how they can protect the coast from any impact, right? So planting trees, it's so important on the coast. Improving technology to be able to better predict future tsunami. Thank you so much. Organize community meetings. And this conversation that we are having today, it's also part of preparedness. It's also part of disaster risk communications, right? Because it's not only about information, it's also about conversation, about learning together. We should prepare early warnings, teach people what to do in these kinds of situations, prepare evacuation routes, improving evacuation plans. Hey, you know a lot about tsunami disaster risk. Thank you so much for sharing all this, increase awareness and beat floodgates at least. So yes, I can see that you know a lot about it, and we are all learning, like even science and government, we are always improving what we can do to get ready and to be more resilient to these events, right? So yes, evacuation, resistant structures. I know that some of you want to be architects and learning about tsunami and seismic and earthquake resistant structure is so important. This is cool. Thank you so much. I learned that people using different types of communications. Tsunami escape simulations. Simulations are really great to imagine the impact and to imagine situations. So yes. Thank you in the chat. Disaster mitigation, early warning. Thank you, Juliana. Pangarang talks about mangrove in the chat. Yes, great. Early warnings. This is excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much again. We'll keep on doing more of this, playing around with the whiteboard, because having this shared space is great. Designing building structures to minimize tsunami damage. Yes, that's great. Thank you, Christian. In the chat window, we can also create an evacuation group or something like that just to prevent tsunamis. and the danger that comes with them. Thank you, Amna from Pakistan. Alert, alarms. Mangrove from Indonesia, Smangar, Salwa Smangar. Thank you. Excellent. This is great. So we will move on to the next activity. Having soil sensibilization. Great. Yes. Thank you. Planting mangrove and preserving them. Yes. Pemeka on back. I don't understand, but if you help me in English, I can translate it. Belinda, Seychelles still having problems with what? I missed a part of the sentence. Kati, Rajerison, for reducing tsunami, we can plan evacuation routes from a school, home, workplace, adopting building codes. Yes, thank you, Kati. Pemeka on back or breaking the waves. What do you mean? Maybe you can help me with a longer description. Breaking the waves, meaning like resistant infrastructure, or you're talking about the mangroves? Breaking the waves. Thank you, Sadena. Building codes. We also have to stop nuclear essay, mostly in the sea. Kaur, Gusmi Ram, we can reduce the impact by increasing awareness. Yes. Thank you, Ivana. Awareness is crucial. And what we are doing today is awareness, right? So civilization. And we discussed that you can be also representatives in your communities to talk about what you learn and share it with families and friends and the community. So yes, absolutely. So I'm going to share the screen again so that we can continue with the presentation. And we're talking about learnings. So many things were learned in this important event. Just to understand the risk is something that so many of us working in the field had the opportunity to learn, because the tsunami or the earthquake or a flood are natural events, and sometimes it's impossible to avoid them from happening. But what we can do is understand our risk and reduce it. Understand the vulnerability and reduce it. Understand the capacity and increase it. The capacity to be able to prepare and to respond. So many things were learned after that event, and in terms of knowledge, and it's about understanding risk. So if you can use the chat window and also type what your feelings are, or what you think risk is. But the important thing is that even if the natural event still happens, because that's natural, to avoid the disaster, we can reduce the risk. And we also learned a lot about inclusion, about how people with special needs, how elderly people were especially exposed to the risk. Some gender differences. In some cases, women were more affected than men, and it was important to understand why when we want to reduce it. But also the need for regional collaboration. Scientists started to work together from different countries to understand tsunami risk, to do the simulations, to do the early warnings. Governments starting to collaborate so that all the systems talk to each other. Then the importance of citizen participation and improving preparedness. So there were many things that changed after this event. Legislation, new policies, disaster risk management grew a lot so that we can learn different ways to protect our community, reduce the vulnerability. So different policy, and then more funding to improve preparedness, new plans, just so that communities know how to respond. Having plans is so important. Having a plan, what do you feel like having a plan is? Like preparing and thinking of what you're going to do in some time, just imagining that scenario, it's a way of preparing ourselves to protect each other. So planning, it's so important. Simulations as well. Many new groups and organizations and tsunami early warning systems were created so that in just 4 minutes we can alert about potential tsunami threats. So this is, I wouldn't say new, but so many of these happened after 2004. So there's a lot of progress, a lot of work by scientists, a lot of work by governments. And also some, as I said, learnings that in some cases, it's important that people from all ages and different backgrounds are able to swim, for example. There's lots of discussions and has to make sure that everyone can swim or climb to a tree. And there were some gender differences that were identified in some cases that are part of what the gender perspective is called, like making sure that we understand how different gender, different sexes, people in different situations have different vulnerabilities, and what we need to do to have equal access to solutions, equal access to early warning systems, equal access to protection. So this is about understanding different needs. And again, based on those learnings, all those things were created. Like first, people talk more about disasters and about tsunamis since 2004. So there was a public discussion. Then we started using the word tsunami. Remember that we said, like, now we know the word, but before it wasn't really famous, the word, the Japanese word. So now educational programs like this one, like Tsunami United, this is an educational program. We get together to learn about the ocean in a positive way from science, from communications. I will show you some examples of tsunami-ready programs and new initiatives like getting to higher ground. So these are important. So I'm going to ask you if you're aware of any tsunami preparedness initiative in your country. This is a poll. So we would like to hear your opinions. I can see those answers coming. Thank you so much. So you can use the chat to tell us what you know about tsunami preparedness. Sarah Chagall, in school, they teach us method of protection against earthquakes, which help us to be aware of the danger of tsunamis. Yes, there's definitely a connection there. Chagall, thank you. Someone has the microphone on. Thank you. Having plan is preparing for what we're going to face in the future. Belinda, tell us about equipment in Seychelles. I'm sure there are cell phones and communications. There's Ardito is saying we have a national tsunami warning center, which is part of the meteorological department that will alert the people of potential tsunami threat. So yes, there are systems for alert. Thank you, Ardita, for pointing that out. Mauritius Lighthouse, the Mauritius Meteorological Service warn us of tsunamis and how to stay safe. This is great. Thank you for your comment. So for those 41% that you're not aware of those tsunami preparedness yet, I think this conversation is a great opportunity to find out. You can ask your teacher, you can ask your parents, you can ask the people in the community. It's always really good to learn more about those. The good thing is that many systems will be in place even if you are not aware. So you will see if there has something happens, but it's also an opportunity to learn about it. I see lots of comments. Thank you so much for this. So Nurmala mentioned the tsunami simulation. Ravena Andrasana, in Madagascar, there's not yet a tsunami, but we have a very long coastline and demonstrations that you had impact. So yes, awareness is key, education is key. So maybe Doris, you can use this, your work can be based on educating the population in Madagascar. We have an opportunity to raise awareness in your country with your work in this process as part of Tsunami United. So Myanmar, Wes is telling us about the shelters. Thank you, Wes. Madagascar, Oni, Ciaro, Toyo, Sambatra, and Juliana. Maybe these are all your names of all the ones that are connected. Great, so many names. Thank you for your comments. Although there's during the cyclonic period, there's communication through mass media. That is great. That is so important, and I'm happy to hear that. Aisarani, telling us about what you do in school to protect yourself. This is wonderful. UAE, Ivana, telling us about the emergency agency, and that's great to know that there's these institutions doing this important work. Well, so many comments. I cannot answer one by one because it will take the whole day, but keep on sending them, and the team is also answering them. So yes, this is a Tsunami Ready, very important regional program working with many national governments in the region. So, and then different communities are going through this process of making sure that the community is prepared in all the different possible ways. So you can read about this program by UNESCO and other organizations. Are you ready? Are you aware of that program? We will send a poll so that you can ask and make it very interactive. Have you heard of the Tsunami program? You will see a question. You can use the chat, or you will see a poll in a matter of seconds. I don't get to see it if you're launching it, Romy. Otherwise, you can just use the poll. Great. Oh, there we go. Are you aware? Yes, 50%, no, 10%. So those that answer 40%, this is an opportunity to learn more about Tsunami Ready. We will send you more information by email so that you can learn more. It's great that many of you, half of you already know about it. Thank you, Ghazal Rezai, for your comments about the National Institute for Oceanography in Iran. That's wonderful. Then Sman, Neisha, Pangaran, telling us about the school mitigation groups, which provides education. That's great. So let me just read it. We have a school mitigation group with a mitigation extracurriculum course, wonderful, that teaches and educates students about the importance and techniques of dealing with disasters, along with the vulnerability capacity, students, teachers, and other families to be aware of this risk, and especially those close to the coast. So they are learning a lot about the capacity and vulnerability, and the name is School Watching, where we research the school areas around the school and write as well That's so great to hear. I'm going to drink some water. And we can continue. I'm going to share the screen again. Excellent. So let me just share. There we go. So thank you so much for sharing your ideas. And I'm going to skip some of this content that you will receive in the materials. Interesting United Nations initiatives called to get to higher ground, in which people train during the drills, moving to higher ground, or just further away from the coast, if the land is flat, like in some islands. But it's about training together and preparing together and getting together to learn. So this is great. So these materials that I'm showing on screen, you will receive them in the materials. Here, these other important things that are done in terms of preparedness, like mangrove forest in Indonesia to protect lives and livelihood. These are in Sri Lanka also, mangroves and tsunami shields against climate change and events like tsunamis. Natural barriers are so important. Here there are different groups and communities are getting prepared, and you see that they have shared water levels and measurements that are there and public for everyone to see how high the water is, and to measure, for example, sea level rise. So these are so many things that have been done, and I'm happy to know that many of you are aware of them, but at the same time, this is an opportunity to learn more, to read more, because in the future we know there will be natural events, but we can do many things to get prepared. So we'll talk about the future, and especially the future of the ocean, and we want to hear your thoughts. And it's a double question, two questions that we'd like to have for you. What do you think are the future challenges in the ocean, the future ocean and the future challenges, and what we can do to keep our ocean safe? So we will play again with the whiteboard. So let's see the whiteboard. And again, what do you think are the future challenges, and what do you think that we can do to make the ocean a safer place? So again, feel free to write on the whiteboard. You already are really familiar with it. Yeah.
I have a long answer, so can I just speak it up?
Yes, you can. Go for it.
So basically, we are right now also suffering from rising sea levels. So if this sea level rises, greater will be the volume of water in the oceans. So greater the volume of the oceans, just in case a minor landslide, not a minor landslide, but a minor earthquake also occurs, it might lead to huge tsunami waves. So that might that might raise the destruction caused by the tsunami.
Yes. And in disaster risk management, we call it multi-hazard, where different hazards are connected to each other. And yes, if the sea level are higher, then the impacts of events on the coast are bigger. Yes, so there's a connection with sea level rise and other types of disasters. They interact with each other. So for science, this is called multi-hazards, and yes, it makes it challenging for us to imagine these scenarios where they somehow interact. But I see many other questions. This is so cool. So let me just read some of them. Sea level rise because of the climate change. Since you can't change what the environment does, I suggest we should plant some. I'm reading as you write. This is cool. So the ocean has a wide variety of animals, and we want to protect them. Then I'm reading your answers, right? I think certain human activities paired with the impacts results in challenges in the future. Overexploitation of fisheries, containers that fall in the sea from exports, oil spills. And these are interesting things because you are mentioning risks that are created by humans. And yes, disasters can be also caused by humans. Oil spill is an example. So yes, these are challenges that we face in our ocean today and in the future. Cyclones, yes. Increasing sea level due to global warming, yes. Cleaner water and healthier marine life and not polluting the ocean, lesser use of plastic. Thank you for that. Yes, very, very important challenges and very important ways that in which we can protect the ocean and making it safe. The ocean has a wide variety of marine animals. Yes, we need to protect them. Hey, you're writing like big essays on the whiteboard. Since you can't change the submarine, we could prevent the tsunami from reaching the land, or we can prevent the tsunami from reaching the people by warning them, yes, and making points in land that we could tell people to go to, absolutely. Ocean warming affect corals and marine life as a result. Yes, this is a big threat. It's so great that you're aware and you can, these are things for your work and for your project, you can research any of these things that you're mentioning, like natural habitats in the coast, like corals or mangroves. This is so important. Then the connection with other problems that you mentioned, again, super important. The connection with climate change, yes, there's definitely one. And you're also mentioned other related problems like trash in the ocean. There's no maybe there's not a direct connection with tsunamis, but they are definitely challenges that we see in the ocean and that we need to address together. I'm reading the chat window. Nancy from South Africa. In South Africa, children are taught to swim in the pools at a younger stage. That is so, so important. Especially for so many reasons, but I'm happy to hear that. Then Juliana and the team, Oni, Ciaro, Toyo, we think that the future challenges will be tough because firstly, the global warming makes the iceberg melt in the ocean, which will make it level rising. Yes, that is true. And we have many challenges. And first thing, we need to start learning from that. We should decrease dumping and research under the sea. Yes. What else? We should. Excellent. So we will move on to the next activity. I really enjoyed these interactive parts because you have so much to share. And I love how we are building something together, combining our ideas. This is wonderful. Thank you for all the stickers and the notes and the text. We want to hear from your ideas and your perspective. So this is really great. So let me just share again the slides. And for some reason, I'm not seeing them. Let me just go. There we go. Yes, here we go. So let me just share here again. Thank you again for helping us imagine the future of the ocean. This is so important. We'll send you some videos that we found that are great so that you can also watch them about the transformation in the ocean. We will not watch it now, but these are materials that you can watch for next time. So now we discussed a bit about communications and communications practices and communicating risk. And one of the things when we talk about communication is that it's not only about information. It's also about having the conversations that we are having today. So when we talk about risk communications, it's not only sending the information, sending the alert. That is important, yes, but it's also about what we are doing today, like getting together, having a conversation, learning from each other, and creating new bonds, like new relationships, and people meeting other people so that knowledge is shared and so that we can work together on solutions. So I'm going to show some examples of projects from other places. These are projects, and maybe I can play a few seconds without the audio. This is music for hurricanes. Like it's campaigns that use music to send important information in the Caribbean for people to get prepared for hurricanes. And I could play at least just some seconds of music. I think you will not be able to listen, but I will send you this campaign in the presentation because music is such a powerful tool to share information and to engage others. So this is a campaign that we've been part of, in which the community literally sings the messages that people need to do to prepare for a hurricane, right? For a cyclone. And this is in the Caribbean, this is in Haiti. And we present this as an example of how music can help improve messaging, improve alert, and making sure that many more people receive the information. So we're going to send you that as an example. Then we discussed last time drawing and art, particularly kids that got together to tell their story through art. And telling our stories, especially when we've been through some difficult experience, it's so important to recover. So art can help a lot, music can help a lot. And of course, surviving stories are also really useful for others to learn, to share learnings, right? So these are really important examples. Then this is Tsunami Ladies. This is another project about tsunamis in the Pacific, not in the Indian Ocean. And that connects women that were affected by tsunamis. And this connection happens through food. You see that they are cooking together. These are survivors from Chile and Japan that suffered a tsunami in the Pacific Ocean 10 years ago. And they get together to cook and to tell each other the stories and the connection with the sea, they discuss the connection with seafood, and they learn from each other. And they are distant countries in the same ocean that are affected by similar events. So Tsunami Ladies is a beautiful project that explores the connection through food. And it's another story that we wanted to share with you. And you will see a short video in the presentation that you will receive so that you can also watch it. And the connection through culture and food is another powerful way to discuss disasters, right? Because everything that we have in culture, like music, like food, like even different, and sports sometimes, these are opportunities to trigger conversations about tsunamis. So Tsunami United is this idea that we are all a team, as if it was sports team. It's not sports, but we can use some language and we can use some metaphors that are there in our culture that are so powerful that can help us raise awareness. So these are just some examples that we wanted to share as inspiration, right? The girl of the tsunami was inspiration. These are other examples that we think are good examples that can be inspiring for your work. So I remember that last time some of you told us that you wanted to be not only scientists and artists, but I remember lots of teachers, people, that is really good news because we need many good teachers in all our countries. But you also mentioned architecture, you mentioned doctors, which were like, all of them like really important. And we want to make sure that the work that you do in Tsunami United is connected to your passion. And why is your work in this program so important? Because we want to hear from you and we want to help you tell your story. And the most important reason is that this year we are joining efforts to make people talk about tsunamis, to raise awareness. So your work in your community, in your family, with your friends, is so important so that many people talk about this and many people are aware of the risk by tsunamis and all the things that we can do to reduce it. So we thought that this program is about giving you the opportunity to create work. And I know that you asked many questions about the format. So let's go through that. And you will have time to prepare that, but you can do video with your cell phone, for example. If you want to do an interview with someone who brings a story about tsunamis, this can be your opportunity to do a documentary, short documentary with your cell phone. And this, you can prepare a video and tell a story through video about any of the topics that we are discussing related to coastal resilience, to tsunamis, to the ocean. You can write an essay. You can choose to write an essay and research some of these topics. Let's say that you are into science and you want to research the origin of tsunamis. You can do an essay about that and do research, scientific research. You can create a song. If you work with your music teacher and you want to create a song about tsunami preparedness, that's also an opportunity. If you want to do some art, like the illustration that we shown on screen, yes, we can do so. If you want to take pictures, let's say pictures of all the communications of tsunamis in your place, okay, or like evacuation routes or the shelter infrastructure, you can tell us how your place is prepared and your community is prepared for future events. That's an opportunity for photography. Or journalism. If you are interested in doing journalism in the future, this is an opportunity to write a journalism article, to do an interview, and you can submit the interview in text. And also teaching. Many of you mentioned that you want to be teachers, which is wonderful. Maybe you want to design an educational course or an activity for students to learn about disaster risk management in the classroom. You can connect this activity with teaching. Or yes, we have a question from Ahmed from UAE. Go for it.
Hello, Mr. I made work. I made a PowerPoint. Can I present it? Yes or no?
If it's very short and just to show us an idea of what you're working on, yes, we still have time to prepare work. But if you want to share something that you're already working on, of course, what do you like to tell us about?
Well, I made a PowerPoint about the tsunami and it's would you like me to present it?
Now we will not have time to present it, but I would love, it would be great if you can send it to us by email, so that in the next talk we can show some screenshots of your work, because we're really interested in learning about it. But maybe you can just tell us a bit about what you're working on, because I'm sure the other students will be curious. And feel free to send us the material after the talk so that we can share that next time when we start. What do you think?
Okay, Mr. First, my PowerPoint presentation talks about the causes of tsunamis, the characteristics of tsunamis, the historical tsunamis, and tsunami detection and warning systems, and also the effects. And also I added preparedness and safety measures for tsunamis, like what to do if a tsunami, or how to know when a tsunami comes.
That is wonderful. So thank you for sharing, and it's wonderful that you're already learning so much about it. We would love to see it, send it to us. And for your work, maybe since you're already working on it, there could be an opportunity to focus on some of these topics more in depth, but maybe we can give you feedback after you send the presentation. And it's great, excellent. It's great that you're learning and researching and learning more. Maria from Myanmar?
Yeah. Where's the due date to submit our work? Like, I'm just
Yes,
curious. I missed
the
like the last
final one.
session, that's why.
Sorry, what's the second part? The
I
session?
mean, I
The next
missed the
session?
no, I
Yeah.
missed the last session to attend. That's why I missed some information.
Okay, great. So watch out here. Are you receiving the emails?
Yeah.
Okay. In the email, we sent the link to the last recording. Just in case, maybe we can paste it in the chat window in a few minutes, but it's been sent, so you can watch it. And in terms of the deadlines, we're going to see them on screen now, but the final to submit your work is September the 3rd. So you have time. You have time. And so we'll share the timeline at the end.
All right,
And
thank you.
there's already a recording that you can watch. It's been sent, but you can share it again. Gursimran, UAE?
My work would be mostly connected to science. So is it possible that we can just publish it in a more report form, in a document?
Yes, we are free. We are open to any format. What you have to think, try to consider what is the format that can make it easier for many other people to read it. So we want to use this work to raise awareness and to make other people talk about tsunami. So the easier it is for others to understand it and to go through that, the more people that will read it. So, but the format is open, yes.
Thank you.
Nabila.
Okay. Probably I'm going to work with the video, and I want to ask what is the duration of the video if I'm going to put my work in the video.
Okay. The video, we don't have an exact duration, but today people watch videos that are shorter and shorter and shorter. Like I'm sure you're on TikTok, and the videos are every year they are shorter and shorter and shorter. So whatever you feel that is enough to share your message, but I would recommend the shorter the better. Like making it less than 2 or 3 minutes for sure. If you really need to make something longer, you can make exceptions. For example, when we were doing a few months ago a video for the elderly, and there was a hurricane preparedness video for the elderly. And that one was longer because it was slow, and for elderly people needed to learn about, they needed time to learn about things. So depending on who you are talking to, the duration may be different. If you're talking to other young people like you, I recommend that the shorter the better, because you want to catch and grab their attention and make sure that they don't stop watching in the half, right? So pay attention to the videos that you already watched and see how much your attention normally works in terms of, and we know that you like I'm sure that you like shorter videos because that's what the platforms offer. So the shorter the better. And if you can do something like really meaningful in 1 minute, I think it's even better. But again, flexible to your intuition and to your preference. These are just some advice.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking the same too. But do we need like, advanced editing or something like that? Or just like a simple edits is okay?
Simple edit is okay because you may not know editing. But if you want to use this as an opportunity to learn edit, that's so wonderful, right? So if you feel like editing, this is an opportunity to learn. And editing can be a very powerful tool for all of us, no matter what we do on video. So if you feel like editing, yes, go for it, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for your questions. And I have a question from Nick. Nick, NEC, is that your name? In the meantime, I'm showing on the screen different stories that you will see in the materials that we send. And these are good examples that you can use as inspiration. This is Tilly Smith. It was a tourist, a 10-year-old tourist from England that was in Thailand at that time. And she had learned at school about how to recognize a tsunami, and she alerted her community. And at that time, there were no early warning systems. So there are some interesting stories that you can also research. There's also the use of poems to tell stories, and literature and poems and fiction are so powerful. So we are sharing some examples that we thought these are really interesting, or an interview with a fisherman. Jessica, Madagascar, go for it.
Is it possible for us to do like 2 words, an essay and a video, for instance?
2 words on what?
But like to our project, like two words. Yeah,
So
2 formats.
2 formats. So you would be combining the 2 formats. Give me an example, please.
For instance, I'm going to make an essay and a video, or a PowerPoint and photography.
Okay. If you want to combine 2, I recommend that they really work together, right? So, for example, if you research something and then there's some part of your research that benefits from video, you can say, and I'm also including this video. For example, today it's very like when you read an article in newspaper, you can embed a video as part of your article. It's normal to read an article that includes a video. So I would recommend that you do it like that, so that the video works as part of the text that you're reading, as if it was a video that comes with a media article. Does it make sense?
Okay, thanks.
Just to make sure that the 2 of those things are something that work together. And again, think of your audience. Think of people like you in other places that may benefit from the information. So make it easier for them so that it's good to learn from it. Pakistan, Abna?
I have a question that what makes a tsunami worse?
What makes a tsunami works or worse? Like,
Worse.
how does it worse? Well, first is the magnitude of the threat. Like, if it's bigger, the earthquake, chances are that the tsunami is going to be bigger, right? If it's bigger, the landslide, chances are that the tsunami is going to be bigger. So the first is the threat. But then we are also paying attention to what the tsunami does and what the tsunami causes to our life in the ocean and our life in the coast. So if we are not aware, and if we don't have information, and if we are not prepared, then that also makes it worse, right? So it's the natural event, it can be bigger, but then our vulnerability can be bigger or smaller, and education, what we are doing today, is so important. And then we also talk about the capacity, about how we can get better at getting ready, get better at having systems, having preparedness programs, so the capacities can be increased. So if we increase the capacities, the impact of the tsunami is also lower. So those are the 2 or 3 ways in which a tsunami can be worse for us, right? Does it make sense? Did I answer your question?
Is there
Sorry,
a deadline for our work? Like, I want to know, when can we submit the work?
Okay, let me just share on screen the timeline. that we have from last time, where we had the deadline at the end. It's all in the materials that we sent, but let me just show on screen the timeline that we have. Great, excellent. So I'm going to share now. So today we are in the second session, right? And there's going to be a third session in 2 weeks, not next week, but in 2 weeks. And there's going to be a fourth second, then the contact with space in July, all groups together. We will send the exact date. Then the fourth session, early August. And the last date to submit your stories is September the 3rd. So you have part of June, July, and August, 2 months and a half. So it's plenty of time to prepare what you are interested in on the topic.
So much. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yes, go for it. Yes. Daniel?
So I wanted to ask that what will a person do if he finds himself in a situation whereby the tsunami occurs suddenly?
Hopefully you will receive early warnings, and what you do is move away from the coast and go to the designated places, and make sure that you alert your people. So there's different things, and this is a question that you can also read in the materials that we sent. We've been discussing some of the areas, but it's a very important question that we will address more deeply next time. Ardito, if you want to add anything about what you can do if you receive an alert. Or at that moment, right? Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Sorry. So if you receive an alert from an official resources, so you need to make sure that you receive it from the official, so you are not being trapped by hoax or false alarm. Second, this is something that you need to learn, of course, before anything happens, which is know where you need to evacuate to. Usually, I saw in the chat there are a lot of students saying that you do exercise. So usually when you do exercise, you will be directed to a safe place where you can evacuate if you get an alert or a warning. Of course, when you evacuate, do not panic. Make sure that you follow your teachers, you follow your the people who guide you, and then you have to stay there until the official says that it is safe for you to return. So know your evacuation place, know how to evacuate, keep calm, and follow all the instructions from the officials or your teacher.
Thank you so much, Ardito. UAE, I don't read your name in the name, but go ahead.
Gursimran, that's my name actually.
Good. Oh, Gursanam. Yes, thank you. I couldn't read it.
So my doubt is regarding the ISS itself. When do we have to send the questions? And will you be giving us a form, or we should be sending the questions to you through your mail ID?
The question for the astronaut, you mean?
Yes.
We will send you a very simple form, and it's great that you ask about that, because I was going to talk about that right now, which is great. Before we talk about how you can send the question, let's go through the topics again. And this is to prepare with a conversation with the astronaut in July. So we want you to send one question, and that question can be connected to the ocean, the coast and the hazards, the life in the ocean and the coasts, And again, of course, we are interested in tsunamis and learning from tsunamis, but also making the ocean a safe place. And today we talked about natural barriers, nature, and the species that also are part of our life in the ocean. They are a protection, they are part of our habitat, also animals or corals. And we are also like discussing things like sea level rise. So anything that we've been talking about are interesting topics to ask questions for the astronaut. But consider that they have a unique perspective from space, and they study with satellite images, with satellite measurements. They study how the Earth changes. They study the ocean. They study the coasts. They study the weather phenomena. So it's just consider what you want to ask them. Ask someone who is in space observing the Earth, right? It's about observing this Earth, and these are the topics. So these are the we will send you some videos so that you can use as inspiration as well. And these are like some topics that are studied from the ocean, from the space. And yes, you think about the question, we will send you a form so that you can submit it. So thank you for asking that, Gersimran. And these would be the next steps. We will have a webinar in 2 weeks, not next week, but in 2 weeks. And for the next session, you need to watch the resources that we will be sending you after the talk, so that you are inspired to tell your story and to choose your topic. And you will be asked to complete a short survey. And then the materials will be there, and think about the story. Think about how you want to share all that you are learning with others. And this is an opportunity for you to learn. When you tell your story and when you do your research, you're learning more about the topic that you're interested in. So this is all about learning. And that was it for today. I'll pass the floor to Ardito for the closing remarks. And I thank you so much for connecting today, for all your comments and feedback and your energy. This is inspiring for us teachers too. So we're ready for more and happy to connect in the next call. Ardito.
Thank you very much, Emiliano. So you have bring us to a lot of things. And I think it is I always go through the chat, listen to your comments, and everything is very, very interesting. So just before we go, I put in the chat, we have now also an Instagram. So if you are doing something related to tsunami awareness activity, please include our in the hashtag so that we can monitor you. Also, monitor our social media. If you have not filled in the question, there is a link in the chat. Make sure that you monitor the email next week, because we plan to inform you about this campaign, telling your story on campaign next week. And again, if you have any questions, if you have any things, don't hesitate to email us. Please use the iotic@unesco.org so that we can actually monitor that. So thank you very much, Emiliano and the team, Rodrigo, Nancy, Rohmi, and also thank you for all who is attending. And as always, before we go,
a picture, right? Sorry, yeah, I was about to ask you. Yes, yeah.
Yes. Before we go, let's take another group picture. So I invite everyone to open your mic. And hold on, because there is a lot of chat coming up. So I see that there is 3 skins. So yes, everybody try to fit your face in the camera. It looks funny. 1, 2, 3, and smile. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, and sorry, I lost. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, and smile. Okay, hold on. I have to take several times. Okay, let me save this first. I'm sorry, I take a little bit longer time because every time I want to take a picture, there is a message coming up. So let's move to the next slide. Everybody have your camera on. 1, okay, smile. 1, 2, and 3. Yes. So thank you very much. And as I mentioned, we will try to also post this in our social media, in Instagram. So if you follow the Instagram, you will see the pictures. So thank you very much. And see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you.